Hi, and welcome back to the Waxman Show. Today we're going to be talking to you about how we have been achieving over 200 grand a month. And before we get there, we're going to tell you a little bit about our backstory. So, babe, start us off. Where were you? Let's start where your lowest point was before.
My lowest
when you
point?
first came to Miami.
I have a couple of low points. Mostly my lowest point. It depends on what way you look at it.
Well, do you want to take it back, or do you want to start where you came into Miami?
I mean,
Or do you want to lead to that?
See, the way I look at things in a positive mindset is that even though my low point was just like a plateau and inflection point to the next level, which whatever, but I would say there's two parts, which is dropping out of college and going back to run Philly cheesesteak spots, and then
let's start there. The college part, because most people are probably, or some people are in college, or they think they have to go to college. Tell us about your college story. What got you there?
Or some people just see me wearing a suit every day and don't realize I was a frat boy one day.
And dropped out of college.
And I dropped out of college.
So tell us that.
It was just dropping out in for a business opportunity, not for any other reason. But but when my parents got divorced when I was 13 years old, that could be another low point. But my whole high school life was I just was quiet and focused on school and math and football. Didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. And all I wanted to do was leave. So I went all the way to the University of Miami. Yeah, I was a good boy.
Are you a little nerdy boy?
I was a nerd boy. I was on the math team from 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade. Math team. Yep.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yep. I got a perfect score on my SAT score on math. Yep. And a perfect ACT score on math.
Okay.
The math lead?
And the math
lead. That's a real thing?
I traveled to do those weird IQ test kind of things.
I've seen that in movies.
Yeah, I was one of them. If there's 120 people in a room, how many hands do you have to shake? How many handshakes are there? That kind of thing.
And you were one of those.
Yeah, I was one of those.
Of course.
Anyway, but that was what I did, and I was always focused on school and football in high school. And that's my life. But then I wanted to escape. So I went 1,700 miles away to University of Miami. And I was a nerdy dude in high school. I never went out. I never partied. I never did anything. And then I went to University of Miami, and it changed. Yeah. And I went out every single night. But I didn't know. I wasn't cool in high school, but I was kind of cool in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why do you think that was in high school?
I mean, I don't know. I was quiet, and I had a bunch of childhood trauma, but I also had my parents are good people, and I love them and respect them and learned a lot from them. I also just I shut down a lot when I was a kid, so I just focused on what I was good at, and I wrote poetry also. I'm a published poet.
You told me.
Yep. And that was kind of that was my childhood. I was always obsessed with my sports cards, and when I was even younger, making Legos and whatever. Just I was always into stuff.
And then you got into college, and you decided to go to University of Miami.
Yeah.
Which is how we ended up here in Miami.
Correct.
Currently. Tell us that. What made you want to go to University of Miami?
My ex-girlfriend from high school, she wanted to go to college in Florida. So we went to Naples, which is on the West Coast, and we planned to visit every school in Florida. So we went to Florida Gulf Coast, USF, UCF, Lynn University, Barry University, FIU, FAU, and Miami, all in a week. And I knew she wasn't going to get into Miami, so I secretly applied.
That's another story.
So then I secretly applied, and I was no way, I'm not going to school. It was $70,000. I was always going to go to Penn State. And then I got a scholarship for most of my tuition, and I decided last minute to go to Miami, and it was pretty cool, and I loved it. And I wanted to go to Wharton, at Penn, the best business school in the country, but I got waitlisted, and I got waitlisted from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. So I don't know, I just make decisions fast and went to Miami. But when I was here, I just loved it. And she ended up going to West Virginia, which is it was literally on the side of a hill. You had to climb up. It was freezing all the time. So I came here to palm trees and beautiful weather, and she went to West Virginia. But
So nice. So that's how you ended up in
yes.
Miami. And you went to school to study what?
Studied finance, and then I started doing all these calculations, and I was like, I don't want to be a freaking like finance guy. Like I didn't want to do that. Like doing all this stuff. And my teachers, I remember I have to go find one of my notebooks. I know what it looks like, but I remember I just didn't want to be in that class, and he told me like, don't. I wrote it down somewhere. Like on the first day of class, the teacher told you like, don't dream too big or something, and I literally like dropped the class immediately because I like
Yeah.
fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
And then I changed to management, and then my teacher never managed anyone, so I dropped that class. And then I went like I just always was like, what am I here for besides like having a good time? And then I had an opportunity to run the business, and I dropped out of college, and here I am. But that was like what got me to 20 years old, and I had a really good time in college. I believe I lived the best college years anybody could live. But it was a lot of fun, but like also a lot of,
Yeah.
dealing with that type of shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what?
What were you like growing up in high school?
I think I was actually the cool kid in high school.
I've heard differently.
And I got it. Junior high was a different story. I was very shy. But high school, I was in my school's dance team, and I was doing that, and then I would go to parties. I wouldn't drink, but I would go to parties. And I started smoking when I was 18. What are you pulling out?
Nothing.
Don't do that.
Why?
Guys. If you do this, I'm going to pull out yours.
When was this?
That one's good. That was my passport picture. Okay, anyways. Focus.
Okay. I thought I had a dance picture in here. Did you take it out?
Babe, you don't need it.
Okay.
Thank you, God. So anyways, I was in dance, and I would hang out with all the popular kids, but I would get invited to everything. I just wouldn't drink. Then I got to college, but I went to community.
Drink for the first time?
Maybe 16, 17.
Okay.
Smoked first when I was 18.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I know. Anyways, I went to community college.
Uh-huh.
So there wasn't much. I would just go whenever. But when I really, really got into my crazy fun times was when I turned 21. Because I got a real job. I started bartending. That's when things changed for me.
That was a real job?
Yeah, that was my real job.
Okay.
So that's when things started changing for me. But first, I want to go back to you and your story of what happened, what made you drop out of college. Even though you were in a great university.
Yeah, I was in a great school. Actually, I started writing a book called 30 Days Out when I was 30 days away from college, and I just stopped when I was 30 days away from dropping out because I was studying for finals, and all these people were like, why are you still here? Why are you still doing this if you know you're going to leave? But my sophomore year, I actually went to audition for Shark Tank to have them to build 16 Lee's Hoagie houses all across the state of Florida. And Lee's Hoagie House was going to sell me the territory rights to open up stores in Florida. Nobody opened up. There was whatever, 15 or 20 in Philly, one in North Carolina, one in South Carolina, and none anywhere else. And so I was like, I'm going to go do this. It's my childhood dream. And that was I didn't get chosen. That was I don't know, September, October 2015. And then I didn't do that. And I went home for Thanksgiving, and my dad had just opened up a store at Temple University, which is in Philly, college town, college area in North Philadelphia. And I went to go visit it, and his friend Scott had opened it up with him. Scott was the managing partner, and and my dad taught him what to do. And he kept complaining to me about the store. And I was like, if you hate it so much, let me buy you out. And he said, no. I was like, come on. And then eventually he said, okay. And then I came back for winter break, and we made a deal that if I dropped out of college, I would come work for him for a year and be the general manager. Actually, I would be the manager and with him, and I would learn how to run it. And I dropped that. I put my inactive status form in in April, which means I basically took a gap year. I kept my scholarship inactive for a year. Mm-hmm. But if I waited more than a year, I would have lost everything. And so I ended up dropping out of college. And May 7th, 2016, May 9th, I started working with my dad. So I literally just 2 days later went from college to there. And I worked for him that summer, but I was driving back and forth, like I was telling you, from my mom's house to work. in North Philly, and it was a lot. I was driving 45 minutes, and I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning every single day. So my mom would be like, "Josh, can you stop making so much noise?" My mom's the nicest woman that you know, but like that's what she also does that sometimes. And it was like, and I was like, "Mom, I'm going to the gym," and she's like, "I work so hard." Like, da da da. I was like, "I just work till 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning." Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I ended up moving to Philly. And then the general manager, this dude Matt, who we both like were best friends growing up, like because my dad recruited him from Burger King drive-through window when he was 15 years old, and he was a couple years older than me. And he was my dad's general manager with Scott there. His name's Matt, and now he's a successful realtor in Philly. But he started dating the cashier girl, and Scott fired them, or they quit or something. And so he didn't have a general manager, so I was like, "I'll work for you." He's like, "We don't know what to do yet." So I said, "I'll work for you for free for a whole year, because I want you to take my salary and I want you to apply it to me buying you out." And so I ended up working for a whole year for free. He paid me just my rent, and I ate only food at Lee's Hoagie House. And I didn't have a car, and I walked down. I lived 2 blocks from the store, and I just figured it out. And I worked my butt off, and I bought the store he wouldn't sell it to me for less than $220,000. I built up $31,000 of like an imaginary fund and to buy him out. And I took on $189,000 worth of debt that he had that I took on myself. And that's how I bought my first store. Yeah. That was my little story.
Mm.
And I opened that up. I took over April 2nd, 2018.
Yeah. So you dropped out of college and then you went to go buy some restaurants.
Yeah.
And now lead us up to our bottom point.
And then January 2nd, I opened up my second store. So literally 9 months later to the day, I opened up store number 2 in Center City, Philadelphia, which was really cool because I actually like built it from scratch and like painted shit and all by my own. And I loved it and it was fun. And we did a lot of business there the first couple weeks. Super Bowl, and it was kind of slow. We did like $1 million in revenue combined, 650 at Temple, 350 at Center City. And I was loving life, and I was looking at locations, like Pat's and Gino's. You've heard of them, like the cheesesteak places.
Mm.
There was my dad's friend Todd called me and said, "Josh, we're going to buy the lot across the street and build an apartment building, and put them down. And then I want to put a Lee's Hoagie House down underneath it." So I was like, "That's super cool." And then a couple months later, COVID started, and then a year later, COVID started. And then I got everything. Lost everything, made a post on social media, lost my franchise agreements, moved to Miami, sold my stores, and started over again. But that story is in other videos. So back to you.
Yeah.
You started bartending, and then what?
I started bartending when I was 21, and I learned the bartender lifestyle. I started making money and partying and staying out late, going out with friends, doing everything you can think of, drugs. And I did that for several years. But all the money I made, I never had anything in savings. I never kept. I never learned anything about money.
What did you do
So I
with
would
it?
just spend it. Drinks,
On what?
drugs, partying,
What kind of drugs?
outfits. We don't talk about that here.
Okay.
Okay. There's probably kids watching. Just kidding. But all you can think of, and I was just living that party lifestyle, living day to day. I even had some friends like pass away that I used to hang out with, doing that stuff. And looking back, it's like we didn't really have people around us that could influence us in a good way because of the lifestyle we were living, of the bartending, staying out late, making quick cash. We were all just living that lifestyle. But then I got into real estate. And then when I got into real estate, I got my real estate license. I started learning more about a professional outlook on the world.
When was that?
When I was 27. So like 5-6 years later. So 5-6 years, I was just going straight, just living that lifestyle.
27. So that was like 10 years ago.
No. So anyways, it was like what, 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Rude. And 2027, when I was 27 years old, I got my license. I got into that world. And I wanted to switch more into that side of being professional, waking up early, going to showings, doing listings, dressing up nice instead of just living the bartender wearing that outfit at nighttime.
And didn't you sell like $5 million of real estate in your first
$5 million worth of real estate,
Yeah,
yes, in the
like-
first 2 years.
2 years?
But the first months, again, I was also working for free because I was learning
How long?
for about 5-6 months. I was
For
shadowing my mentor.
Chantel?
Yeah. I was shadowing her and learning from her, doing things she needed. And still to this day, I actually just sent her a referral 2 days
Huh.
ago.
When you say you were like shadowing her, what were you doing for her?
Sending out emails, paperwork. If she needed to write up a contract, going to showings when she couldn't go to showings,
What?
just to go be there
Oh,
and
when
learn.
she couldn't go
When
to
she couldn't make the
showings.
showings, I would go show the house for the client,
Huh.
for the buyers, and open because only realtors have the key to open the doors for
The
houses that are
lockbox.
yeah. Okay, so back on the topic of real estate, I was doing real estate. I was doing good, and I was selling houses once I learned everything, but I couldn't hold on to the commission. I would make 10, 7, 8,000 in my bank account. A couple days gone. Of course, my rent, my bills.
So like
But
literally
drinking,
going out?
yeah, partying.
God.
I was actually think it was my not think I know it was my ego wanting to buy shots for everybody, wanting to look like I was making all this money.
Oh.
I had this nice apartment. I was putting up this front, of
Oh.
course. So I was doing that.
Huh.
So I could never had any money in my bank account. I just would go and spend it all. Then I got into insurance. No, go back
She
to
didn't
real
tell me that
estate.
before I married her.
You didn't need to know that. Then I got yeah. Then before I get into the insurance, I actually ended up buying a real estate property for Airbnb with my mom, and she had the money, and I ended up finding the home and doing all the back end stuff. However, I ended up losing her 100 grand. So that's when everything started to turn downhill.
Well, that was like 2 years ago. So back up. You got started in insurance December 2022.
Two.
What attracted you to that, and how did you get connected to them?
To insurance?
Yeah.
Well, like I was saying, I was in real estate. I bought that Airbnb property. After I bought that real estate property, I lost 100 grand. I didn't have anywhere else.
So you didn't lose 100 grand immediately. Didn't you lose that like a year later?
After I sold the house. Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Right.
in December 2023, you were at the poker room, and one of the girls there was like,
Yeah, then they
"Hey."
approached me. Somebody else approached me after. I was already starting to go downhill.
Yeah.
I was living with my sister. She was gonna go her separate way, and I had to find a place to live. I knew that I couldn't afford anywhere else to live because I had already lost money in the Airbnb. But there was no way I could afford an apartment myself at that point. And my grandma offered me to live with her. Then I went to go live with her, but I was now working at the poker room and doing real estate. And then at the poker room, somebody approached me about getting my life insurance license. They're like, "You want an extra side of income or extra source of income?" You know how they
Wow.
approach you. Then that's how I got my
What was
life
her name
insurance.
again?
Tiana.
Tiana. We should send her a gift
Yeah, we should.
because you wouldn't be here
Yeah.
without her.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Who we meet.
Well, like you were working like all that crap. Like what the heck? And then you're like working at the poker room of all places. Like there couldn't be a more house of addiction than a poker room.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
And there's
I'm
people
sure
that don't
they're
even
smoking
leave
cigarettes,
for hours.
they're eating crap, and they're gambling, like they're
Yeah.
drinking. Like there's just a
Yeah,
place.
that's a very toxic environment.
And the frat house is
Which,
pretty toxic.
you know, some
too.
people do it for a living. It's okay, nothing bad. But
Yeah.
I just didn't want to keep working there forever.
And then you started in insurance, and you got connected to Rodolfo and
My
Setsi.
mentors, yeah.
And what did they teach you?
How to work on myself and personal development and learn life insurance and the benefits it can do for people.
What did you do when you came in? Like, what was your attitude coming in?
Into life insurance?
Yeah.
I was so ready because I was living with my grandma. I didn't have anything else. What else could I lose? I was at a low point. I was negative my bank account. I was going to the poker room, but everything I'd make at the poker room, I use it for my bills. And then give my grandma something, maybe $300 a month if I could, to make it look like for rent or something. So that's where I was at. And I was just so open, like, take me, like, just teach me everything. They told me to make a top 25 list, and I did that. And I was scared. I was like, I don't have to call these people. But whatever, I did what it took. And that's how I was.
I love you.
Love you too.
Oh.
I do. Like, what the heck? Nobody does that.
What?
Yeah, like all that crap. Oh, are you crying?
No.
Okay. And then Wow. So that was December 2022, and then you started making a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
When did
Yeah,
you have
so
your
that
first $10,000 month with PHP?
in March of 2023,
So like 3 months in,
before we met.
4 months in.
Yeah.
March, and then April we had to
May.
qualify
Yeah.
for the trip,
Yeah.
and then May we went together.
We met, yeah.
Right. But we didn't really meet. I
No,
just saw
we
you
were
on
just in the
stage.
same room.
Yeah.
But because I was working my ass off and I did everything they told me to, is what made me end up on that stage in order for you to see me.
Right. So what is that? December, January, February, March, April, May. So for 6 months you worked your ass off at rock bottom. And then we started talking June, July, August. At that time I was literally rented out an office and I had nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
But now let's go back to you.
well,
When
okay.
you first moved to Miami, tell them about that story.
What about it?
When you first moved to that studio, because that was a low point for you when you were living with the little bugs in the floor.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, I was living in South Beach in a studio, paid $1,200. It was super small, but I could like out my window, I could kind of see the bay.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Sounds like
I would look out. I would look out my window and I would see the bay.
You had no balcony.
No balcony, but it was Rachel, what are you laughing at me for? This was like, it was my turning point. I loved that I could see the water. And then the pool was overlooking downtown skyline. So I would just go spend all the time outside by the pool. And I was living there by myself and I didn't want to get a job. And I created the infinite success system during that time period so I could like make some money. And I was making like $5,000 a month, but I was getting sued by my landlord in Philly. I was getting sued by 2 other investors for all this bullshit that went on. And I just had to figure it out. And I got a job. I was praying. It was September 22nd. Almost there. September 22nd, 2020. And like in the same week, my dad, Jeffrey Combs, Willie, all told me I need to go get a job. And I was like, job stands for Journey of the Broke. All right. But then that morning, I was praying and I used to write down, I used to do my transcendental meditation and pray and meditate every day. And I just would listen for spirit, or at the time I called it spirit. Now it's definitely God. But I wasn't comfortable yet. And I would say that spirit told me to I have it written somewhere, go get a job and work for someone else because I already gave you everything you always asked for. Because I never asked to open up Lee's all over the country until I was older. I asked to open up, my childhood dream is to open up a Lee's Hoagie House, and I own 2 of them. And I lost it because I was trying too hard to be the man. And I really humbled myself and I got clean and sober. I got a job. I made 300 to 400 cold calls a day every single day. The most I ever made was like 520 calls in a day. I worked like 12 hours a day every single day. First one in, last one out. I made like $2,000 my first month, $6,000 my second month, and then I made $11,000, and I've never made less than $10,000 ever again. That was December 2020, and I made $139,000 2021, but I relapsed on my birthday, December 6, 2020. I took a shot, and it went all downhill, and I didn't get clean and sober again until January 20th, 2023.
Okay. And I'll fast forward to how we started building
January 2023.
Business. Yeah.
I'm in the insurance business as well. I left the loan business, got into insurance, connected through Jeffrey Combs, and then a couple months later, I opened up an office. A couple months later, I met you. And then that summer, June, July, August, September 2023, then you moved out here for like a month to try it out, and you never went back. And that was October 2023. We went home to tell your parents that I met your parents. November, we got engaged. October, we also opened up the office, or revamped the office.
Yeah.
November, we got engaged. And then we built our team.
We started building, learning the
2024, we
systems.
got started with Cardone in March 2024. That was just a little over a year ago. Built everything out, joined the real estate club, learned all this shit, and then got married in January, moved to a new office in March 2025, and here we are.
And in this meantime, to get us to $200,000 a month, we've done trial and error, a lot of it, and it wasn't easy. Definitely, it's something where we have to keep continuously supporting each other.
Pretty sure I cried 3 times last week.
Yeah, a lot of tears, blood, sweat, and tears into
It's been a lot.
But we are starting to actually get the hang of it, right? And we've learned a lot, especially with building our team and our leadership skills. So as we continue to evolve, what are some of the tips you give to other business owners out there?
Yep. Thank you. My first tip is really something that everyone says. Cardone, Hermosi, Gary Vee, they all say it's going to take twice as long and cost twice as much as you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
That would be number one. Is like, and just keep paying the price. Like, it's all worth it. It's the law of the few. Very few are willing to go through all of the ups and the downs, but it's just starting. I just said this the other day on Labor Day. We were going for a walk, and I said, we're just coming out of it. Like, this would be the first time in my life that I'm out of the hole. Like, it might appear that we're out of the hole,
Right.
but like, we're not really out of the hole yet.
Right.
Like,
and
just like peeking out, like,
yeah. Can breathe, start to breathe a little. Yeah.
For the first time in my whole life. But it's all worth it. And and also, like, be connected to God or source or something outside, some higher power, because you require some North Star guiding you along the path.
Support.
Okay, I wouldn't have attracted you into my life if I wasn't clean and sober and started reading the Bible.
I wouldn't have attracted you into my life if I didn't start working on myself and being at that low point in my life and just being able to go for it because I had no other choice.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. What about you?
My advice?
Yeah.
My advice would be continue working on your daily habits because your daily habits will lead to the future you. And that's what we are consistently doing. We are now all routine, hour by hour, second by second. And I think it's also helped with our income monthly.
Absolutely.
So that is my tip.
Yeah. And right now I'm learning to work on leadership. Everything
rises and falls on leadership. John Maxwell.
Right.
So, all right. So thank you. Thank you everyone for watching the Waxman Show. Stay tuned for next week.